Our March 20th. Could we please have a roll call?
Sure. Commissioners Alcazar is absent. Kalfayan?
Here.
Sardarbegian?
Here.
Wolfson?
Here.
And President Meek.
Here.
The agenda for the March 20th, 2023 regular meeting was posted on the bulletin board outside City Hall on or before March 17, 2023. Item 2, upcoming council agenda items.
Thank you. Good afternoon, President Meek, members of the commission. On March 21st, we have a report that we're taking to council, acceptance of grant funds from the Department of Industrial Relations, Division of Apprenticeship Standards, State Apprenticeship Expansion, Equity and Innovation for the Verdugo Workforce Development Board and the Early Care Education Pathways to Success in the amount of $592,000. We also have an action item, introduction of ordinance authorizing execution of a lease agreement between the City of Glendale and Babak Gobahar for the Verdugo Job Center facility located at 1255 South Central Avenue for a 3-year period from April 1, 2023 to March 31st, 2026. And on April 4th, we have a report, Amendment 9 for fiscal year 22-23, LA County Aging and Disabilities Department, Revised Federal American Rescue Plan Act, and Home Community-Based Services Nutrition Infrastructure Allocation in the amount of $245,000 for the Elderly Nutritional Meals Program. And on April 4th, we have a lease agreement between the city and All for Health, Health for All Incorporated for the Cedar House located at 141 South Cedar Street, Glendale, California, 91205.
Thank you.
That's it.
Next item.
Next is item 3, commission staff comments.
Does any of my fellows have anything to say?
No.
I would like to make just one comment. The city did its homeless count in January, went very well. I'm hoping that the city can continue following up and helping with the homeless in this city. I'd also like to comment on the Civic Services Institute that I've been attending. I think it's a valuable tool for any commissioner in the city to go to if the city does this class yet again. Any citizen would benefit from this. Thank you. Next item.
Next is item 4, oral communications. We don't have any cards or callers. Item 5, consent items. At A is approval of the minutes of the commission's special meeting held on January 23rd, 2023.
Any comments?
I have just one. It seems like in every place where we had a list of the commissioners, there's a comma missing between Commissioner Sardarbegian's name and my name. So it made it look like there's a commissioner named Sardarbegian Wolfson,
Long last name.
which I thought was entertaining but incorrect. So maybe we could fix that.
Noted. We'll add the comma. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're right.
Okay,
Any
if
other
there is
comments?
no other comments, I would like to move it, the minutes of the last meeting.
Okay, thank you.
I'll second that.
Do we need a roll call?
Yes, Commissioners Alcazar is absent. Kalfayan?
Yes.
Sardarbegian?
Yes.
Wolfson?
Yes.
And President Meek.
Yes.
Item 6, action items. At A is proposed increase in traveling teens camp registration fees. At 1 is resolution increasing the existing traveling teens camp registration fee and recommending that the Glendale City Council incorporate into the comprehensive citywide fee schedule the changes made to the CSP department-wide fee schedule effective April 20th, 2023.
Okay.
Good afternoon, President Meek, members of the commission. My name is Eva Garavidian, Community Services Manager with the Parks Department, overseeing our community centers and the programs out of those community centers. So I don't have a PowerPoint prepared for you. It's just basically the report that we've prepared that hopefully you have reviewed and I could answer any questions. But basically the Traveling Teens Camp is a part of our childcare programs that we offer typically in the summer during the 9 weeks of summer camp that we offer. The camp did take a break during 2020 and 2021 during COVID, where excursions and traveling was really hard to schedule. Most places were closed. We weren't doing that type of thing. Plus, transportation in the form of an enclosed space wasn't really encouraged upon. So the last numbers that we have in comparison for you guys that was realistic is summer of 2019 and summer of 2022. Basically, in the report, we outlined that there's some shift in our city policy. In 2022, early 2022, we went from being allowed to use 15 passenger vans to transport these teens to various local Southern California destinations to having to rent a bus. And the cost for that bus is significantly higher than the cost of a 15 passenger van. And that was one of the costs that have gone up since we've been offering that program. Other things to consider is the cost of staffing with benefits due to compaction. Since our last time we came to commission and presented our fees, the hourly rate for our staff has significantly increased. We were anticipating by 2022, minimum wage would be 15 an hour. That minimum wage number has gone up as well. So in comparison to 2016, when we first came to commission, to now, the cost of staff has gone up significantly. And then the last thing I wanted to highlight is the cost of admission. So traveling teens was $85 per week per child, plus parents would pay a $20 out-of-pocket expense for wherever they would go. So let's say it was just a regular walking field trip to the movies at the Americana. The parents would send $20 with their kids. That would cover the cost of the ticket for the movie, plus whatever snacks or lunch they wanted to buy. What we're doing is, what we're recommending is to bring up the cost to be the same as our excursion camp at Verdugo Park. The cost would be the same as the spectacular camp that's based out of Verdugo Park, and we would absorb the cost of admission to wherever we take them. So instead of paying 85 plus the 20 parents would pay, it's now going to be 150, and we would pay for the transportation, inclusive all the costs that are associated with that, and admission tickets. So essentially, that is the shift in how we're operating this camp. It's going to be very similar to how we operate the camp at Verdugo Park in our spectacular camp, and that is the reason why we're asking for us to match those fees and be in line with what our department is offering elsewhere.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions?
Some questions. First of all, the bus, does that include a driver, the fee for the bus? Okay, yeah. 'Cause I was
President
gonna
Meek,
say-
Commissioner Wilson, yes, the transportation costs include a separate driver. Whereas before, 15 passenger vans used to be driven by our city employees or city staff that were in charge of the program. By renting a school bus, the driver is included in that fee.
And then I was wondering, Spectacular, their fee is the same then as so their fee is $150 a week, or is that right?
Yeah, President Meek, Commissioner Wilson, the cost for summer spectacular camp at Verdugo Park is $150 per week per child. We do make an adjustment for the 2 weeks that we have 1 day off. That would be Juneteenth and 4th of July. When we don't operate camp because it's a federal holiday, then we will make that slight adjustment. So the cost for Verdugo's spectacular camp is $150 per week per child, plus the non-resident rate if somebody is not a non-resident, so $150 or $165. So our cost would be essentially the same at traveling teens. It'll be $150 for Glendale residents, $165 for non-residents, with the exception of those 2 weeks. I believe it's week 2 and week 4 where we have to make that adjustment for Juneteenth and 4th of July holidays.
And does the camp enroll up to capacity already? I mean, it's kind of a big increase. I'm just wondering if we're going to lose enrollment.
Sure. So I could give you the numbers for 2019. Let's assume that a full camp is based on a 26 traveling team participation, because the math has always been you need 13 kids in the back of the bus plus 2 drivers, right? 2 staff when you're going on excursions. That's how we get to the capacity of 15. So in 2019, we had a total of 228 participants for traveling teens. And it's going to be fast. Week 1, we had 27. Week 2, we had 26. Week 3, we had 13. Week 4, we had 29. Week 5, we had 26. Week 6, we had 26. Week 7, 28. Week 8, 26. Week 9, 27. So when I say it's based on 26 and we're over enrolling, that's probably because those weeks we were not actually renting a 15-passenger van. We were keeping it to local field trips, which is why we're able to accommodate more. But on the weeks where we were restricted to the 15-passenger vans, we did not go over 26.
Okay, so we're fully enrolled.
Right.
Basically, as it is, and
And Commissioner Wilson, if I may add, this is the one camp that is specific to 12 to 14-year-olds. While Verdugo, you might get some kids that are younger. This is one camp that's unique to everybody in that camp is going to be 12 to 14. You're not going to get an 8 or 9-year-old because there's not enough space in that age group to bump up with them. So.
okay, thank you.
This camp serves which area? Where is it? Is it open or it's mainly from South Glendale? Or can you give me a kind of idea?
Sure, President Meek, Commissioner Kafayan, the camp is open to anybody, and it's not restricted to Glendale's boundaries. So it can be anywhere from Glendale or the surrounding neighborhood, wherever parents are coming from. Most of the participants are not restricted to the South Glendale area. And in looking at our sponsorship discount policy and our scholarship applicants, we haven't had anybody request Traveling Teens Camp via the scholarship or the discount, which means that they're not low-income families that have registered for us in the past.
Do we have a scholarship program for them if they come and
Right,
ask?
so the discount policy and scholarship program is applicable to the following camps. It's applicable to Maple Stars Camp at Maple Park, Cool Days Camp at Pacific, Kinder Camp at Pacific, and until now, Traveling Teens Camp at Pacific. That was for full scholarship. For all of the other camps that are operated by the department, any of those camps were available via the discount policy, so they would get a 10% off. So for Traveling Teens Camp, we haven't given out any scholarships or discounts because nobody has actually requested to enroll their children via the discount and scholarship application process.
How many times this camp is it's a one-shot deal, 1 week, or?
No, Commissioner
Which are
Kafayan, so Traveling Teens Camp, just like any of our camps, the parent is allowed to select whatever week they want. So you could register for week 1, all the way through week 9, or you could cherry pick and say, I want 1, 3, 5, 7 because of family obligations, vacation, summer travel plans. So for whatever week the parent chooses to register for, that's what they would be responsible for. And we offer this camp during the summer. We have offered the camp during winter and spring in the past, but because of low enrollment, we've only gotten 2 or 3 individuals. We folded them back into our Cool Days camp and not offer the Traveling Teens portion as well.
You have them from 12 to 14 years old.
Right, this camp is specific to 12 to 14-year-olds.
And you get them on a different occasions at this age.
It's
How many
still at
times?
Pacific Community Center. They have their own space, they have their own meeting, they have their own program, they have their own dedicated staff. They still meet at Pacific, just like Cool Days and Kinder. The only difference is their group is literally all the teens, 12 to 14-year-olds. Some parents might say, no, my kid is still too young or too immature to be with the older kids. They might be influenced, so they want to keep them in Cool Days. This is for the 12-year-olds. Some parents are like, no, they have an older brother, older sister, so I want them to be with their family members who are teens. But it's respective to them, and it allows us to better program for them, as opposed to, here's some paperwork, let's do some arts and crafts or draw. You know, we don't do that with the teens. It's a little bit more different, and that's what enables us to cater specifically to that age group.
If we don't increase it, is there any other funds that we can get it from there and satisfy this, satisfy this fund?
No, Commissioner Kaufman, there is no other form of revenue coming into these camps. It's through their registration fees.
Thank you.
Do you have anything?
No, I think it's a great idea to hire buses instead of taking the responsibility. As an attorney, I think I've always seen that as a major problem for anyone, any organization or the city taking that on, because the smallest accident could lead to a catastrophe. So I think you guys are doing the responsible thing.
Thank you. I did wonder about the hiring a bus and why we don't just get some of our employee staff to take and get a commercial license. so that you don't have that expense every week.
Sure. So President Meek, if I may, we had this discussion a few months before summer of 2022 came by when we were doing the Stormbar Nature Center grand opening. This is when this entire concept of 15 passenger vans, liability, commercial driver license, or passenger endorsement came about. And what we discovered at that time, or our discussion at the time, was our staff who we are hiring, they're high school seniors who are just graduating. They might not have the commercial license ability. So what we would essentially do is to hire them and to give them and pay for their training and certification for that passenger endorsement or their commercial license. We'd be spending X amount of dollars. We didn't look into the math at the time. But after 9 weeks, we lose that staff for whatever reason. Now imagine, here we are, City of Glendale, we give you a job. We're looking to pay you $15, $16, $17 an hour. We're gonna give you your license, and 9 weeks later, we can't guarantee we're gonna incorporate you into one of our programs. It's a great opportunity for somebody to get free training, so to speak, and then move on. And we'd be constantly going through this entire process of training year round. So that's the reason why we said, you know, it makes sense, 15 passenger vans. We shift the liability to the bus company, the same bus company that we're using for our One Glendale after-school youth sports program, the same bus company we're using for our Go excursions when we're offering them, whether it's to the One Glendale program or to the general public. That's who we have our contract with, and that's how we ended up with the bus.
Okay, thank you. That does make sense. I am very in favor of additional staff for watching over these kids. So I know you mentioned that you have different attendance for the different ones. So this child can go to week 1, 3, 5, and that sort of thing, so they don't have to go to every one of them, and that's why your attendance changes?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. I was wondering, like, well, if you're charging them the same amount every week and you only have half the people. Okay, that sounds great to me. Anything else? Okay,
If there is no other questions, I will
Yeah.
move it to approve a resolution to increasing the existing traveling teens camp registration fee.
I second that.
can we have a roll call?
Commissioners Alcazar is absent. Kalfyan?
Yes.
Sartor Begin?
Yes.
Wolfson?
Yes.
And President Meek.
Yes.
Carries.
Thank you.
Item 7, reports information only at A is Workforce Development Section Activity Report.
Hi, good afternoon, President Meek, members of the commission. My name is Judith Velasco. I am the Workforce Administrator overseeing the operations of the Verdugo Job Center. It is a full-fledged one employment center at 1255 South Central. Our section in our center is 100% grant funded. We receive federal, local, and state funds. Primary funding source comes from the federal government under the WIOA Act, Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. So there's a lot of acronyms in our section. I'm here today just to highlight a few of our innovations. What we try to do on a yearly basis is seek out competitive grants in areas where we can build a career pathway. What I mean by that is we partner with business, our educational system, primarily Glendale Community College, to bring to the community in-demand careers where individuals can gain an entryway point. So we've done a lot of work in the area of bioscience. That's something we're very proud of. We actually developed the first ever industry valued credential. So previously, what we used to do is we would fund the training programs that Glendale Community College offers. So if anybody coming into our center expressed interest in an entry-level position in the area of bioscience, we would refer them to Glendale Community College, and we would cover any cost associated with that training. What we've done now is we've created, with the help of industry, what's known as an industry valued credential. So what the business community was letting us know is after somebody completes a course, whether it's bioscience or another type of industry, the business wants validation that that individuals have a specific skill set or they have specific knowledge base information on that industry. So together with Grifols Biologicals and other well-known biological companies, we came together which is the first time ever bioscience, workforce, education, it came together. And together as a team, we developed a credential test of 100+ questions that the bioscience companies participated in developing. So this is what led to the industry credentials. So anybody in any of the community college systems in Los Angeles who completes an entry-level bioscience course, they take the test. The test measures basic understanding of the industry that the companies have identified as crucial to their framework. If they score a 70 or better, they get a certificate. And the certificate is endorsed by Biocom Institute, which represents the major bioscience companies. And then now they are at a better position to find job openings, because not only do they have the education, but they also have the credential that demonstrates their competency. So far, we've received over $650,000 in grant fund to support this model that I've illustrated to you. We have registered 75 students to take the exam, 61 completed the exam, and 51 passed with a 70% score or higher to earn the credential. Overall, this program has earned a 90% placement rate. For those who do not pass the test, there are at least 3 attempts for them to take it again, with technical support offered through our grant program. So the goal is not to have students fail the test, but really to encourage them to show their competency and for us to provide the support for them to do so. And again, that model we use where we work with industry to let us know what they need to feel confident in the individuals they hire has really been kind of the working model we have. I'm also excited to share with you a new pre-apprenticeship program we are about to endeavor in early childhood. It's in partnership with the Early Childhood Educational Pathways to Success. This is called ESEPS for short. It's an intermediary that is really recognized in setting up child development apprenticeship programs in the state of California. So we plan to partner with them, Los Angeles Mission College, and other local agencies that offer child care programs in the state of California to provide entry-level positions for those interested in becoming teachers and teachers' assistants. Our target populations are individuals who are low income, who are currently on CalWORKs, who are asylees, refugees, and overall, all of our programs, I say, have that focus to serve individuals with the highest need, the ones that most barriers to employment, like this pre-apprenticeship program. So we hope to start this pre-apprenticeship program in the next month and a half. We're going to enroll about 147 individuals, not only in Glendale, but surrounding the LA County. They will complete at least 6 units of classroom training, coupled with 150 hours of on-the-job training that the grant covers. Again, this is the first time we've had an apprenticeship program in the child development area, and we're very excited to offer that to the community. The other program I want to discuss is our Life Wrap program. So this is funded under the City of Glendale's Measure H funds, the Verdugo Job Center, and our youth provider, the Glendale Youth Alliance. We launched this program back in 2021, and so far we've helped 63 families achieve self-sufficiency. Really, this is a comprehensive housing and workforce program where we have a housing subsidy. So during the time that they're receiving the housing subsidy, they're putting that money towards saving. They're assigned a staff who does career counseling and mentorship to help them achieve their goals, either self-sufficiency goals, educational goals, work goals, and it's a 12-month program. Many families were successful in meeting their goals. Some were successful in saving up money where they can purchase for the first time their own condo, townhome. So it was extremely successful. We're now in the third year of this program, so we hope to serve an additional 35 to 40 families in the upcoming fiscal year. So a couple of recognitions we've received recently: the California Workforce Association, that represents all the employment centers and workforce boards in California, recognized the Verdugo Workforce Development Board as being the leaders in serving people with disabilities. People with disabilities historically have a double-digit unemployment rate. So it's really rare that you see a board like ours focused on serving the population in meaningful career pathways. I would say prior to the pandemic, we had a very robust program in CNC manufacturing, computer numeric control machinists. There's so many acronyms in our world, where we enroll people in the autism spectrum disorder and into CNC machinist programs with Glendale Community College. So those individuals enrolled in a CNC program, they were placed in machinist shops, and they were earning upwards to $25 an hour. Placement in that program was between 70 to 75%. Because of the pandemic, we had to put that program on hold because many community colleges, turned to virtual learning instead of in-person learning. But we hope to start that program again this coming year because of such a success and there's such a demand for it. And again, it really highlights the different types of career pathways we can offer people with disabilities. And lastly, I want to highlight the Glendale Youth Alliance will be receiving the Community Partners Award in this upcoming State of the City, scheduled for this Thursday. So, our section really is dedicated to serving the community at large with any and all workforce needs. So I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions? Go ahead.
Just wondering, where do you get your students from? Is there a source that you go get them to bring them in to teach them?
In terms of a specific program or just in general?
I mean, overall, like, how do you get clients?
Oh, okay. That's a great question, Commissioner Kalfayan. What we noticed with the pandemic is that we now have less what we call walk-in traffic. People used to come to our front doors all the time, but now we realize we have to go where the clients are based. So whether our staff is located at the library, 1 day a week, or at a nearby school, we are where the clients are. So we have different partners, agencies throughout the city of Glendale and Burbank. So we make sure our staff is scheduled at different locations at different times. We are also working on a communication plan because outreaching to individuals require more than just having the staff being at different locations. We need a communication plan where we use social media as well as different other venues to promote our free services to the public and in different languages as well because we work with a monolingual public. So that's something that's a priority to us, whether it's promoting a specific program through GTV6 or using other avenues. We are looking at different platforms to do that. Thank you. Sure.
Always do a good job.
Thank you so much.
Anyone else have a question?
I just want to thank you for the work that you do. I really appreciate it a lot, especially the working with autistic individuals and helping them.
Thank you, Commissioner.
No comment.
Okay. I want to also thank you. I did one on your, or is it Measure S or Measure H that you said you got your funding from?
For LifeWrap is Measure S.
Yes, okay, because I
Yes.
thought you had said Measure H.
Oh, I'm so sorry. We do have funding under Measure H for something else, so sorry.
Okay, that's fine. I commend you. I have used the Glendale Youth Alliance several times, so I really think that's a great program also. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, President.
Next on the agenda is 7B, Recreation and Community Services Section Monthly Activity Report for January and February 2023.
He's back.
Hello again. So I'm going to go over the January and February section activity report for our recreation section. We're up and running. Perfect. So we offered Parents Night Out at Pacific Community Center and Spar Heights Community Center on February 10, 2023, and March 3, 2023. Pacific had 27 participants.
Sorry, give me a second.
No worries. You good? So Pacific had 27 participants on February 10th, and Spar Heights had 8 participants. Pacific also had Children's Dental Fun Zone come and do a small presentation to our participants about dental hygiene and brushing every morning and at night, and flossing, and how to prevent cavities, etc. We had 2 One Glendale championships. The first one was the end of our volleyball season. Our volleyball season came to an end on January 20, 2023, and the Columbus Eagles beat out the Edison Eagles for 3rd place, while the Muir Mustangs won 1st place over the Jefferson Tigers. And then our basketball season championship evening was on Friday, March 3, 2023 at Pacific Community Center. Here we combined our sports excursion for basketball, and instead we brought the Hoop Bus over. The Hoop Bus is a mobile messaging device used by a couple of street ballers that started out in Venice Beach. It was featured on NBA's 75th anniversary commercials, where NBA players were taking shots or doing alley-oops, dunking on the baskets attached to the Hoop Bus. So that was a real treat for their kids to come out and actually see the same bus and experience that. We also took out the Glendale Rocks climbing wall, and then we transitioned over to the championship evening, where Edison won the championship for the 3rd time in program history. For our senior programs, we celebrated Valentine's Day on February 14, and we celebrated Mardi Gras also in February, and pretty much it. Our lunchtime programs that we offer at both facilities, Spar Heights Community Center and at the Adult Recreation Center, are designed to increase socialization amongst the seniors that are coming in for our lunch program. So these monthly celebrations are key and unique, and it helps us engage, have the participants engage with each other and celebrate. And it also gives them something to look forward to in addition to having a hot meal. Our Trails and Open Space program held Wilderness Workday on January 21, a Friday night lecture, CHIPS at Brand Studio on January 27, and a special tree planting day at Deukmejian Park with 25 Sierra Club members on January 28. The program held a Lend a Hand at Brand Workday with 9 volunteers on February 4, a Wilderness Workday with 7 volunteers on February 18, the One Glendale Grow program, and a Friday night lecture series, Eco Gardening and Composting, with 10 participants on February 24th. The night hike, These Boots Are Made for Walking, scheduled for February 15 at Deukmejian Wilderness Park, was canceled due to inclement weather. GPD closed Deukmejian Wilderness Park to cars later that day due to snow falling and icy road conditions.
Did you say snow falling?
I did say snow falling, yes. Here's some pictures of that snow at the Duke over that weekend. It was quite a interesting day. A lot of vehicles driving up the hill, trying to get up to the Duke. A lot of people were seeing snow for the first time. A lot of people experiencing snow in Glendale for the very first time. But the park did get overwhelmed, and it did create some unsafe conditions as some vehicles were slipping on the way down. So out of abundance of caution, we had to shut it down. During the month of January, the barn was open for 12 days and received 930 visitors in total. In the month of February, the barn was open for 11 days and 1,468 visitors came inside. On February 26, 604 visitors came inside the barn in one day, and the barn was closed early due to snow and poor road conditions, as we mentioned. The park and barn were overwhelmed with people during the rare SoCal snowstorm. The GO program, Glendale Outdoors Community Program, was held on February 18th with 45 participants. And it was, the theme was Valentine's Day inspired when Harry met Ugly, a love story about Los Angeles' most misunderstood creatures. On Saturday, February 11, 20 participants from the One Glendale Sports Program had the opportunity to take a GO Wilderness excursion at Deukmejian Wilderness Park. During the months of January and February, teen night out meetings were held at Pacific Community Center. Teens returned from the winter break and reflected on their time off. Additionally, teens enjoyed various games like pool, puzzles, and the PlayStation, played basketball indoors and outdoors while enjoying healthy light refreshments. On Friday, January 13, They had a presentation from Kalale Tabibzadeh from Drug Free World. And in the month of February, teens were able to do some Valentine's Day crafts. And during our 2 championship evenings, we asked our team volunteers to help with the facility setup, decoration. In addition to that, we gave them the opportunity to wear those mascots from each school and participate in the championship game that way. On January 24th, START participants enjoyed an exciting game of Star Bingo. In addition to our generous sponsor, David Kissinger, CEO of the Glendale Association of Realtors, brought some dinner for the evening, dinner, drinks, desserts. Participants were able to interact with David and ask questions about the job of a CEO, a realtor, and what he does on a daily basis for work. On Tuesday, February 28th, STAR participants joined on a fun scavenger hunt. Throughout the facility, participants were given a scavenger sheet with interactive tasks and questions to complete, such as find the city of Glendale card. Our therapeutic recreation program continued its MIP days in the month of January and February. One was held on January 21st, and another one held on February 18. In addition to that, our Club Maple program held its annual Valentine's Day dance at Maple Park Community Center, and that event attracted over 70 participants. In January of 2023, our elderly nutrition program served 4,968 meals in the hybrid congregate model and delivered 1,729 meals in the home delivered meals model. In February of 2023, staff served 5,017 meals in the hybrid model and 1,526 meals in the home delivered meals program model. Our supportive services program operates under the senior services unit. It's a comprehensive case management program for seniors 60 and older. The primary goal of the senior supportive services program is to help seniors in maintaining their independence and live in home. Services include home assessment, service coordination, care planning, purchase of services, benefits, enrollment, referral, and information services. The program is funded through the LA County Aging and Disabilities Department, and 50 unduplicated clients were enrolled as of February 28, 2023. Our 2023 senior needs assessment is on its way. The last time we did a senior needs assessment was in 2017. Since 2017, the City of Glendale joined the AARP network of aging-friendly cities, and as part of that agreement, we have to do an action plan every 4 years to provide data on senior needs through various dimensions. So we were finally able to bring on a contractor, Marine Society, to provide the needs assessment for us, and they're working with our staff on various numbers and figures so that they could go out and conduct that study. So more information will be coming in the coming months. These are the 10 dimensions that the vendor will be looking into: food security, housing, transportation, communication, outdoor spaces, social participation, civic participation, health community support, respect, social inclusion, emergency preparedness. So like I said, it'll be coming, hopefully, estimated time is summer of 2023, and it will come through the Parks, Recreation, and Community Services Commission for review approval prior to going to City Council. Some upcoming programs. Friday, Teen Night Out at Pacific Community Center, followed by a library, arts and culture resource fair for teens, also Friday, March 24 at Pacific Community Center. So during Teen Night Out, we do monthly presentations, and this month's presentation will be all the services and programs that the library offers for teens out of Central Library and their teen space. We have a Friday night lecture series, Keeping Your Orchids Blooming. That will take place on March 24th at Brand Studios from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. On Saturday, March 25th, we have the city's annual Cesar Chavez commemorative event. This year, the event has shifted gears. We're doing a service component and a neighborhood cleanup in partnership with Clean California. That component will start at 9:30 with check-in. It'll run until about 11 o'clock, 11:30, during which the official program will begin for that day with speakers, and our keynote speaker will be Cesar L. Chavez. That'll be at Pacific Community Center 9:30 check-in, all the way until 3 p.m. There'll be live entertainment, performances by Edison Elementary School, and some other community organizations as well. On Sunday, March 26th, we have the Cherry Blossom Celebration at the Brand Tea House and Gazebo. Whispering Pine Tea House. I can't say the other one, pardon me. That'll be Sunday, March 26th from 9:30 to 3. We have CalFresh and Adventist Foundation Glendale partnering up with the City of Glendale to provide free Zumba classes at Maple Park Community Center, and those will start on Monday, the 27th. We have our spring extravaganza the following Saturday at Pacific Community Center from 10 to 1. That is our annual egg hunt, opportunity to take pictures with the bunny, as well as various community booths and carnival games. Then we have a Victorian Easter egg hunt taking place at the Doctor's House and Museum on the grass area in front of the Doctor's House. That'll be on Sunday, April 2nd. Metro's Mobile Customer Care Center will be coming to the Adult Recreation Center on April 4th. And this is a unique opportunity because our community centers do get a lot of requests of how do I apply for a Metro tap card. This will actually bring Metro services on site to the facility where the person would be able to apply for the tap card, take their picture, and walk away with a temporary card until the permanent one is mailed to them, but they will be on their way and out and about moving around the city. We have a virtual presentation for seniors taking place on April 12th, Alzheimer's awareness, brain healthy habits for the brain. We have a community meeting for 2023 action plan. That will be at Pacific Community Center on Wednesday, April 12th, 2023 at 7 p.m. upstairs in the Sycamore Room. April 15, we'll have our monthly MIP Day at Maple Park Community Center. And that concludes us until our next meeting. If anybody has any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
You guys are just great, just doing so many things for our city. I thank you very much. Does anyone else have any comments you would like to make?
Second your comment.
Yes. Heard it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Okay, next is 7C, Human Services Section Activity Report, Community Development Block Grant Program Update.
Thank you. Good afternoon, President Meek, members of the Parks Commission and city staff. I'm Maggie Kavarian, Community Services Manager, here to present the Human Services Section Report for the Community Development Block Grant Program, better known as CDBG. CDBG is a U.S. Housing and Urban Development Entitlement Program. City of Glendale has been part of this program since 1974. We're almost going to be ready to celebrate our 50 years next year. And every year we start our program planning process in October. But before we do that, we wanted to present to the Commission what the HUD CDBG national objective is, because this is really what sets the tone. Basically, the program has to benefit low to moderate income individuals, clients, households. Also, it has to aid in the prevention or elimination of slum or blight in the community. And I had mentioned that our program planning and timeline starts in October. So this year we had estimated, because our final funding doesn't come to us until late February, usually mid-February, but again, every time there's a problem with our federal government, we have to wait a little longer for those numbers to come through. So the estimated funding that we anticipated was about 1.7 million, which we usually try to do close to what we have currently. And then what we do in October and November is establish program priorities. Those program priorities are established by way of 4 different ways. We did a community survey this year. We do data analysis. We look at poverty levels. For Glendale, 13.9% is the poverty level in Glendale as of 2022. We also have community meeting in the fall, and we ask the community to give us their program priorities, what they feel is important, because these program priorities set the tone. We want to know what the community wants and how this money should be allocated. And then we take all of that information and we go to the City Council and Housing Authority in November, and we propose this funding allocation plan. We present the program priorities, and we ask to issue an RFP. That RFP goes out to about over 100 nonprofits throughout Glendale. And in December, we offer a technical support meeting to those nonprofits who are interested in applying for CDBG funding. Submission of those proposals are at the end of December. It just happens to be that way because the cycle is that way. So around the holidays, we receive proposals back. January through March is really when the city staff does most of the work. We review all those proposals. We prepare packets for our CDBG Advisory Committee. And then in March, the CDBG Advisory Committee makes funding recommendations. So for 22-23, the proposal review and interview season, we had 12 public social services program proposals submitted. We had 5 capital improvement project proposals submitted. And then the committee met on Friday, February 3rd for an all-day meeting. And then again, they reconvened on March 6th for about a half-day meeting. And what they would do is interview agencies, ask the questions, and review proposals. Now, this year was quite interesting funding-wise. This is not the usual. This is kind of unusual. For 2023-2024 CDBG actual funding allocation, and then we had previous program year fundings. So let me get to the first part. The first part's pretty easy. We were given $1.764,983 from HUD for 2023. That money is broken into 3 parts. 65% has to go to capital improvement, 15% goes to public social services, and 20% to program administration. For the funding that we received for 2023, we set aside $667,402 for City CIP Pacific Natural Grass Project. So that was a recommendation made by the committee. We also, interestingly enough, had previous program year funding, returned funds, reprogrammed funds, canceled funds. So we had a little over $1,090,000 there. Now, interestingly enough, with the CDBG program, that any money that's from previous years or unused has to go to capital improvement. It can't go to program administration or public social services. So I purposely put those zeros there so the committee can see that it all went to capital improvement. And with that, from previous years, the City CIP Pacific Park Splash Pad received $245,812. I know this is a little small in the writing, but this is basically what the kind of overall look of the capital improvement project recommendations were that the CDBG Advisory Committee made. If we look at the very last column, the recommended funding for 23-24, that probably paints the best picture. So that's that $1.1,047,000 that was allotted to capital, and $667 went to the natural grass. And then those 5 agencies that requested funding, basically 4 of those agencies received funding from 2023-2024 funds. The only agency that didn't receive funding from 23-24 was the YMCA. They received funding from the prior year funds. So they were able to receive all their funding that they had requested, but they received it from prior years, the column next to the 23-24 recommended funding, along with Pacific Park Splash Pad, and as well as Alma House. The Campbell Center had requested additional funding for their Alma House project. Unfortunately, their construction estimates came back quite higher than what they had originally, as well as the YMCA. So what they decided to do was return another project's funds that they had through Hamilton House, which is a different housing project for developmentally disabled adults. So when they returned that money, partial money, $300,000 of that went to the Alma House to help them fulfill that project's needs to begin construction. Any questions on this? Because this was quite complex on that day that we did this. And then for public social services, there was $752,258 in requested funding, but there was only $264,747 available to recommend. So the committee decided 10 out of 12 agencies were funded. 2 agencies were not funded this year, and they were Hamaskayan Armenian Cultural Association and the Armenian Engineers and Scientists of America. So after next month, in April and May, the community meetings start and public comment period begins. So in April, we host a community meeting, and Mr. Garbetian had mentioned it's an in-person meeting held at Pacific Park Community Center, but we also offer a virtual meeting. We also offer email and telephone commentary. We really want to hear from the public on the recommendations made by the CDBG Advisory Committee regarding the action plan. And then those public comments will be part of the City Council Housing Authority report for May. So we go back on May 23rd to the council and approve the final plan and submit that to HUD. That concludes my update for CDBG. If you have any questions.
Okay, let's start over here.
From total funding, what percentage that the Park and Recreation gets? Is there a percentage that I missed?
Wow, it's really not a percentage, Commissioner Kalfayan. It's need, it's based on need every year. We originally had $400,000 set aside for the Fremont renovation project. Part of the reasoning behind canceling, we didn't cancel Fremont, we just decided not to use CDBG funds to fund Fremont. Fremont's gonna be between $17 and $20 million to fund. That would only be about 3% of CDBG funding. It's very administratively laden. They'd have to turn into, agency would have to turn, agency, we are the agency, but the contractor would have to turn in time cards and weekly payrolls. So it'd be very difficult for staff and for the contractor. So we decided to release that money and use it toward splash pad and use it toward Pacific Natural Grass, because that will be done much faster and be done quicker.
We need a project, we have to come to you directly, or?
Basically,
I know Eric is on the staff, but
President Meek, members of the commission, Commissioner Kalfayan, basically, if someone is interested or a group is interested in a project, then they will submit a proposal. If it's a city project that you would be interested in us taking a look at, then during a commission meeting, you would request staff to look into it.
Yeah, I was wondering, just out of curiosity, like a lot of the grants that are, first of all, it seems like a lot of the money goes to capital improvement projects, and I guess that's not something we have a choice about in terms of the idea of helping low-income people, say, for example, remain housed and that type of thing. And I'm wondering, I noticed, some of the organizations, I noticed there's pro bono legal help being given. Is that then restricted to legal aid with housing issues or other, that sort of thing?
that's a great question. It is actually not, Commissioner Wolfson. The Pro Bono Legal Clinic does housing assistance. They are working with domestic violence. They are actually doing expungement clinics at our adult recreation center. They're housed there. They do a multitude of legal services with different cases. Each case is very different. We just encourage, of course, the housing, because that is part of this program specifically, because it is HUD. But they do have a multitude of cases that they see.
So that would still fall under the purview of a legitimate use for CDBG funding?
That is correct.
Yeah,
That is
thank you.
No comment.
Okay, because this was such a, I want to say convoluted, but it's a very intense project that you work on. I wanted to comment that the staff worked very hard to help all of these people who made proposals and get them to fill out the forms correctly and do their presentation correctly. I attended the meetings. They were educational for me. And it was amazing to me that you went through and were able to do all the things and get the money out to the people who needed it. I do have a couple of questions. How do you do the survey in the beginning?
President Meek, members of the commission, the survey, interestingly enough, was a request that was made by the CDBG Advisory Committee. We do surveys every 5 years when we do our consolidated plan, but this particular committee asked for additional data, additional information to see what the community wanted, what was community need to prioritize priorities, as we like to say. So this year, what we did was, and I worked with Ms. Alexanian and Ms. Moreno Hernandez, and what we did was we put a questionnaire together trying to see what were the priorities and what were the sub-priorities. And we released that to the public, but we also worked with Glendale Unified School District. We wanted to hear what the families wanted, what their priorities were. We felt that they weren't attending the meetings in the evening. It could be from childcare issues and whatnot. So we wanted an extra layer of information. So to answer your question, we really tried to do a comprehensive survey, and then we ranked those surveys. Although in the end, the committee decided not to rank them, we wanted to leave them as is, and we ranked them alphabetically because they were all equally important, but they were all included in the final program priorities.
Okay, thank you. And you said there's an April community meeting coming up?
There is. In the April community meeting will be to review these funding recommendations made by the CDBG Advisory Committee. So it's a 3-layer process. The advisory committee makes those recommendations, and then the public comments on those recommendations, and then finally the City Council and Housing Authority approve those recommendations. And then that goes to HUD, basically.
Okay, thank you very much for all the work you and the Community Development Block Grant Committee have done. I appreciate it. The city appreciates it very much.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda, 7D, Park Services Section Monthly Activity Report for December 2022 and January 2023.
Good afternoon, President Meek, members of the commission. As Ms. Moreno Hernandez mentioned, the report is for the 2 months, December 2022. Our crews completed 847 work orders, 815 of which were by the groundskeepers. There was 1 PESAT application conducted, and then irrigation repair crews completed 31 work orders for a total of 1,150 labor hours. And for the month of January, we had 841 work orders completed for non-routine repair and preventive maintenance tasks and projects, of which the groundskeepers completed 795 work orders. There were 6 PESAT application work orders completed, and then the irrigation crews completed 40 work orders for total labor hours of 1,730. And that essentially is the report. I do not have a PowerPoint for you this month. We're looking forward to that for the next couple of months. If you have any questions that I may be able to answer at this point, I'd be happy to do so.
Anyone? I have a question.
Yes, sir.
City Council, I was reading, has just done this proposal for the landscapers and things to switch over to electric. Are we planning to do that with our city?
Yes, President Meek, members of the commission, our current contractor was already mandated by the last request for proposal we did. The last time we sent out a specification, they're mandated to use battery-operated equipment in our landscape areas that they maintain. As far as the Parks Department goes, we already started that process a couple of years back. If you recall, we have 8 of our facilities that are completely green zones, and we use battery-operated equipment in those areas. And we're in the transition to convert all of our sites to battery-operated equipment. We've done the initial infrastructure studies. We are working with our Public Works Department to finalize the infrastructure upgrades to make sure that the rooms we house these equipment are properly ventilated and have the necessary electrical upgrades done. We're about 80 to 90% done with that. We have one site at Brand. We had to purchase a new shed, a large shed, so we can house most of the equipment there to change kind of our routine, how we do our routes. And we will be getting a cost from a contractor to figure out what the upgrades will be to get that shed powered. And there's one location that needs a vent, so we're almost done with that. We have been waiting, and it should be very soon, for AQMD, the local AQMD. They're going to bring back the exchange program, wherein if you return an old a gas or diesel operated equipment, you can purchase the new battery operated equipment at significant savings from 50 to 70%. At the cost of these new equipment that are in the market, that is significant. We could be saving a couple $100,000. So we have been told that that money is going to be very limited when it comes up. We are ready the moment the exchange program is announced to work with our purchasing department to bid whatever equipment we need for the facilities to make everything we have small. Small equipment meaning, your backpack blower, your edgers, your push behind mower, to convert all those to electric. We anticipate having done that this fiscal year.
Thank you very much. Anything else? Next.
That is all we have on the agenda.
Do you have move it to adjourn, or can I just do that?
Next meeting.
We can just adjourn.
And when is our next meeting? Is April 17th in council chambers.
That's correct.
Thank you, and we're adjourned at 3:38.